Hi everybody, this is Reema Desai from The Guiding Star. I was finding a spot at work. I'm at lunch right now to make this video today. I want to talk today specifically about the fantastic stage of the healing journey of Shiv consciousness healing that we're in. So this video speaks specifically to an audience that knows what I'm talking about. Some of you may not know and you're still here and you're very welcome. I'm Reema. Once again, if you don't know me, I'm Reema from The Guiding Star. One of the things that I'm very passionate about is Shiv and Durga and their consciousness and their mission on earth. It's not just that I'm not just a Shiv Bhakt, it's beyond that. And I have spoken a lot about Shiv and Durga for those of you who've been following me over the years. And then there are phases that, when I'll talk a lot more about them than other times. And one of those times is now. So especially if you're in my close proximity of contact, especially my tribe of women, you know who I'm talking about if you're watching. This will make a lot of sense to you more than anybody else. First of all, thank you for everyone who trusted that journey with me. As I took on, it just suddenly came that I had to give this huge mass consciousness healing to millions, to Shivji and millions of his followers. The idea was to really push that change, push the envelope. This change was needed. And sometimes it's like pushing the soul out of the cage that it feels it's in, right? That it believes it's in or knows it's in but does not know how to get out of it. The healing that we did, if you want to go back and listen to what really that was, what were the stages, I will encourage you to go back and look at hear my previous videos. I have named or titled all of them as phase 1, part 1, part 2, part 3, and this is, you can say, part 4 of that series. If you remember, those of you who are in my tribe in communication with me regularly, I had shared the phases of healing with you, how healing at that higher level really works and how the universe monitors that healing. That's the right way to put it. Where, let's say I was assigned for this healing, which I was, right? When we do the healing, there will be we talked about the giant high and then the crash and then the coming back and evening out of that energy. But then, if you remember, I'd mentioned there will be a phase where there's all of this big energy, right? It's very dramatic that comes out, and we had a lot of conversation around it. I appreciate and I'm happy to hear all the fantastic positive shifts, right? It's not just change, it's actual shifts. Some of you told me you've completely transformed, right? In ways that you were waiting to or trying to or wanting to transform since years. Broken out of a habit, learn to stand up more for yourself, which you knew you wanted to do. You thought you were doing your best. You weren't able to snap out of it or come out of it. And you said in a week, it's shifted like that. And the change for Shivji is much more than that, right? Much bigger. So being a part of his consciousness and being a staunch Bhakt, everybody who's a staunch Bhakt of Shivji was automatically included in it, minus children. This is the phase where I call it the cheese in the sandwich, where if you notice, we've stopped talking about it in our tribe. We've stopped talking about it. We're probably even not feeling it in our consciousness. And it's almost like the universe, and I had told you this, there will be a phase, it's the law of the healing cycle, where you will almost forget about it. You will not even realize, you will not give attention to it, you get busy with your day-to-day life. That's actually when the actual change is happening. Before that, there's a high. After that, there's a high. So there's this waves that I spoke about. Initial wave is building all that energy, concentrating that energy until it kind of bursts, right? So the breakthrough. But the actual breakthrough, when the actual breakthrough is happening, there's complete silence. It's the storm, it's the silent sea, right, underneath. The storm underneath the silent sea. And the universe will make you forget about it. We've stopped discussing it naturally. We stopped having the urge to talk about it, which we were for a good 3 weeks talking a lot about it. There's positive explosive energy, right? Positive, like beyond what we can handle, overwhelming. And that's the law, and that's a sign that there is a change coming, a major, major breakthrough. And then the breakthrough is happening now. And by now, I mean it's happening in this moment, but it's a process. That process could be sometimes, rarely as short as 2 weeks, but sometimes a month, 6 months. But the process has just begun. So that has just started. And I noticed it where, I've initially noticed we're not discussing it. And then I completely lost track, completely out of my consciousness. And then there's a stage where the actual, it's like literally you're squeezing through the narrow pathway, where even if you try to think about it, it's strenuous to your mind. I don't know if many of you can relate to that. It will be if you try to put attention on it or think of it, which I try to do, and it starts to become very, not even overwhelming. It's actually stressful. You feel that stress in your body. It's as if when you have numbers and you're not able to read, when you're not able to read without your glasses, and you put all that energy and strain in it, and it gives you a headache, and you almost have to give up. The universe is going to force that because it doesn't want our conscious minds to come in the way of the shifts that it wants to have happen for Shiv in his existence on earth, for everybody who is a bhakt of him in their own existence, for the mass consciousness of Shiv and all of his soul family, which is all his millions of bhakts, and then for the impact it needs to bring as a result to, if I can say on a very generic way, Earth. Not the whole Earth, but it's a very generic way that I'm explaining it. So that's that cheese where if you focus on it, it'll really, really be very hard. And it's okay to forget it. And there will be a high again, where we'll come back maybe after months and talk about it. And one of the ways for you to know that is there will be that blasting energy, even from me, to talk more about Shiv and Durga, and it'll start to come out and pour out more. There'll be new consciousness, new information, new awareness on my end, which you will not be aware of, but you'll see that in posts, in shares, in discussions. So that's just the rule of the healing. It's a very good sign. It means we're right on track. I actually had, I can tell, the shift in Shiv, because something magical happened, the day before. It blew my mind away. It's blown. I'm still trying to come to terms with, is this really happening? And it is. And Shiv is shifting, and I can feel that. And when Shiv shifts, everybody in his soul family is going to shift. So your life is going to shift for the better, for sure. And we still have that August 2024 time frame where we will retrospect on the guarantee you, sometimes the change will be so much that you'll forget what you used to be, and you almost can't realize the change, the amount of change. That's again, the universe is intervening because it doesn't want our conscious mind to bring resistance for the completely snapping out of our old skin and becoming a new person, so much so that you completely forget who you used to be or what you used to struggle with until you don't recognize how much you've changed. But that's, the universe wants to help you as much as, especially those of you who are really invested in it and want it. That's one part. The other part that I wanted to talk about, and I'll log off after that, get back to work. Beautiful place under the shade of the tree. Appreciate this tree right now for giving me some shade, supporting me. May it heal and get healing exactly when it needs, anytime in the future in any of its lives. But one of the things that I also wanted to talk about is if you know what a starseed is, it's okay if you don't. If you don't know what a starseed is, it's fine. I'm not going to explain that right now, but especially true for starseeds is if you are, you're on Earth for a reason, either your own personal or you're on a mission for the universe or both. And while you were on it, I was talking about it with my tribe. It took me a lot of internal conflict and struggle to say, well, I'm doing so well in my business. I do so well in it financially. It's very fulfilling for me. Internally, it's something that I always wanted to do. But I've also stayed in a job at the same time. And I enjoy my job a lot as well. But then there's those restrictions that come with it, right? The amount of time you have to be at work, and the rules and regulations, and the pay is not as anywhere compared to what I would do in my business. But more than that, the mission of me reaching out and helping and supporting women and children, it kind of put brakes on that. So for many years, I doubted it, I questioned it, I was stressed over it, I was really doubting that journey. And it's come to my realization finally that there are times when you are in very high energy, if you're meant to be in the healing field, or creative artists on the human plane will relate to that, to what I'm saying, but this is specifically for healers. And I don't like the term healers, but healing facilitators is the best term. But who are into a field like mine, where you're transforming consciousness. That's the best way to put it, right? Very big mission, very, very big mission. Very different from the 3D-ness of Earth. There are times when you need to have those breaks, to be at the job, to be at something more structured. It's going to ground you, because otherwise and you will relate to this if you're a starseed, there's a lot of challenge in being able to, let me keep track of time, I have 2 minutes, being able to keep up with the requirements of Earth and its routines and its 3D-ness and time, especially if I come from a planet where the concept of time, many starseeds come from a planet where the concept of time is not the same, or it's not there. And so you might think you were always a procrastinator. Not really. If you were a starseed, you're likely not a procrastinator. You're finding it hard to adapt to the 3D-ness of Earth and its time requirements, for example, or its definition of time and deadlines. So having that job, or having something more structured. So I have a job, for example. Some of you may have a family, right? Which is more structured. It has rules, regulations. It requires your dedication. You're required to cook every day. You're required to be available for your family. For others, it's a job. You're at a job, or it's both. So long as you're parallelly growing, you see the signs, it's growing. What I do as in my mission, in what I'm meant to do, so long as it's continuously growing, the universe is showing you're on the right path, until you reach a point where you can manage the expansive energy, the amount of explosive energy, potent energy that comes with the vortex, that comes with handling a mission as big as that, or your own energetic gifts as big as that. And so having that structure of the job to break free from, to bring you back to the 3D Earth in your mind and in your day-to-day living, to not get lost in that world of just energy and being consumed by it, obsessed by it, or even lost in it, and to be able to give your work structure enough if you're doing it for financial reasons, or both, or have a goal in mind, to give it enough structure from the 3D's end to be able to take the steps that you need that align with how manifestation works on Earth. So I know a lot of this will not make sense to many of you, but I know to some of you it will make a lot of sense. If you want to manifest on Earth, along with your gifts that you bring, which will help you pull energy in ways that are beyond the capacity of Earth, you also need to follow the rules of Earth to give that manifestation an outcome. That's the best way I can put it. So if you have questions about this, if you want to talk about it, if you're in my tribe, come join it. If you are not in my tribe, if you'd like to join it, it's open to all women. Let me know. If you're going to write questions, like if some of you hear my videos and then you reach out to me, if you're in my personal contacts, I will tell you personal messages at this point may be delayed by up to a month, because there's a lot on my plate right now, and that's out of choice. I have other priorities at the moment. This is Reema Desai from The Guiding Star. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.